Welcome to the MLS Show. It is the weekly roundup with me, Baz, talking about the biggest stories over the last 7 days, basically since I've done my last roundup. Let's begin with last Saturday. Former New York Red Bulls centre-back Matt Miazga made his debut for Chelsea in the 4-0 victory at Aston Villa. And it was a really, really good performance for the young man. Came in to the side, Gus Hiddink put him in. And he was very, very impressive. Obviously played in a defence that kept a clean sheet, which is always a great start. Miazga had 6 clearances, 4 aerial duels, 3 tackles, 3 blocks, 2 interceptions. And Gus Hiddink said his performance was a great first step. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic reflection on MLS as well, on the young players coming through, just showing that, they do have ability. And if you perform well in MLS, Europe's top clubs will look as well. So a really, really good performance from Miazga. Hopefully that will continue. Hopefully he'll get more of a chance as he moves forward and progresses. He was excellent for Red Bulls last season and he's made a great start to his Chelsea career. So fingers crossed that he gets more game time and turns in more performances like that. Other big news this week, it's 20 years since Major League Soccer began. San Jose and DC United in the very first MLS game. How much it's grown, how much it's changed. Watch the bit of the highlights of way back when and all of that. And just unbelievable really how much it's changed. Still got a way to go. Some things could be better than what they are. But the way it's progressing, the players it's attracting, the momentum it's picking up, certainly the appeal, I would say worldwide, it's getting bigger all the time, even if there's still a few issues that need ironing out. But it's just fantastic, and how far it's come in 20 years. It is a massive, massive leap that it's made. And I just think as it grows, more expansion teams come in and everything else, and the interest picked up around the world, and the more players that go from the 4 corners of the globe. And as it grows as a sport in the United States, I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So happy 20th birthday, MLS. Let's continue to grow and make it a better league. So in 20 years' time, we're looking back saying the last 20 years has been unbelievable, but look how big the league is now. So happy birthday to you, Major League Soccer. Moving on, Orlando City, 2 big stories coming out of it this week. Firstly, Kaka won Player of the Week. He was absolutely fantastic in Orlando City's 4-1 victory over Portland Timbers at the Citrus Bowl on Sunday. He was quite simply fantastic, back to his best. It was his first game of the season. He created the opening goal for Seb Hines, then played that lovely little 1-2 with Brek Sheas for Brek Sheas' fantastic goal to make it 2-0. And then he scored himself to make it 3-0 and was even kind enough to step aside and let Kevin Molino get his MLS goal-scoring career off to a great start from the penalty spot. Kaka just brilliant, roll back the years, just gave a fantastic performance. Had to move up front after about 15 minutes when Kyle Larin had to go off with a hamstring injury, and he went and he excelled as a centre forward as well. And when he's in that form, you realise just what a good footballer he is, and Orlando are obviously made up to have him, and he's just brilliant for the league. And he fully deserves his Player of the Week award there. Sticking with Orlando City, a big news in terms of MLS disciplinary committee. Brek Sheas has had his yellow card that he received for a challenge on Asprilla of Portland upgraded to a red. Not sure how I feel about this one for 2 reasons. A, being an Orlando fan, and B, not convinced. We had done a video on the main show, of course, the other day talking about referees. I was, watching some of the games, some of the decisions, just really, it's a really difficult one, this one, because, we see these challenges going in, and people have pointed out, you see different challenges when I watch, say, the Premier League, when I watch Everton in the Premier League, to when you watch Champions League football, different challenges at different cards, and I suppose MLS have decided, Peter Walton confirmed this anyway, they decided to outlaw some challenges to protect centre forwards, attacking players. Fair enough, but there's just a few where you look and you just think, that isn't a red card though. It's really not a red card. It's a contact sport. And Brek Sheas one, for me, shouldn't have been a red card. He slid in. It was a booking, no question about it. It was definitely a yellow card. I'm not convinced it was a red card. Anyway, it means that he will miss Orlando City's trip to Philadelphia Union this week as a result of that upgrade. And we'll watch the MLS committee with bated breath throughout the season to see what other decisions they may get right or they may get wrong. But it is clearly a watch this space. So moving on to some news coming out of sport in Kansas City, that Matt Besler is still unavailable for this weekend's game. He picked up concussion training with the United States men's national side on March the 24th, and he's failed to pass the concussion protocol by Sporting Kansas City that they said their medical people there have said that Besler has still not passed that, and therefore he won't be able to be involved this weekend. So we wish you a speedy recovery, Matt, and hopefully you will be available for next weekend's games. Moving on to some transfer news now, or transfer speculation rather. Arsenal's Matteo Flamini has been linked quite heavily this week with a move to MLS. The 32-year-old is out of contract in the summer with Arsenal and is allegedly talking to a few Major League Soccer sides. So be interesting to see if Flamini chooses to come over to the United States. I think he'd be a good addition, still a good defensive midfield player. 32, not ideal, but it's not, at least he's not 37. I think he could do a decent job. I don't think there's enough experienced defensive midfield players playing in Major League Soccer. Flamini can also play centre-back as well. And again, that's another area where people could do with a little bit of experience. A few teams, when you look around, could do with that little bit of experience. So I still think he will be a good acquisition for any Major League Soccer sides this summer. So be interesting to see whether Flamini does end up playing in MLS in the summer. Moving on to some more big news, this time out of Real Salt Lake. News broke this week that they're thinking of, they are looking at building a Real Salt Lake Academy, which would cost around $45 to $50 million. It would house Real Salt Lake, most of their operations out there, and it's going to have 8 pitches, 4 grass, 4 artificial. It's going to have everything there, and it looks fantastic. Some of the stuff that are coming out of it, some of the information about it, it seems fantastic. And one of the things that was said was that it could be used as a warm weather training place for big clubs. The Barcelona were mentioned, Manchester United, Manchester City, those kind of teams, somewhere to go and do some warm weather training. And that really, that's such a big thing again, spreading the name of Real Salt Lake. And obviously once these kind of clubs use those training facilities, the name gets bandied around again, and it's all about perpetuating the name of that club, making your brand stronger. But very, very ambitious. Going to have a charter school there as well, and what it is to me is that it makes it look as though Real Salt Lake are looking to develop over a real strong core academy, make their own players going forward, and that's fantastic. Rather than just trying to go kind of year to year, they're looking to be progressive and bring the youngsters through and have fantastic facilities to improve the technique and everything else about young footballers. And for me, I think it's an absolutely brilliant thing and a great bit of news, and hope it's a massive, massive success for Real Salt Lake. In terms of growth of the league and MLS expansions, big news for Minnesota United this week. They will receive tax breaks on a $150 million private stadium in St. Paul. As they move towards Major League Soccer, this is obviously the politics. I tend to stay out. I just looked at the story with interest, because obviously it's exciting to see these new clubs, how they will, how they're going to take shape as we go forward. But obviously that's a big hurdle for them. If they can, they've got stuff like this, it will help, initial steps underway to certainly secure everything they need in place. We've seen news last week with David Beckham's Miami franchise in terms of their stadium. So it's great that these franchises are moving forward, and it is exciting. It's exciting to see it grow, and it freshens everything up again as well. I think, just looking, say, last season with Orlando City and New York City, the new expansion teams, they've come in and give it that freshness, give it that excitement, and hopefully that's exactly what we're going to see with Atlanta, with Minnesota, with LA, and with Miami. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. And kind of just sticking on that, other news pushing, teams pushing for MLS. Someone sent me a clip about Oklahoma Energy, is it? Oklahoma Energy, who were heading towards Major League Soccer, or rather, that's their goal, to have a team in MLS. And, it's brilliant. And just listening to, there was a couple of people on there from Oklahoma saying that they get 7,800 people for, a USL game, and they had a friendly against Dallas, or a game against Dallas rather, and got 7,200. And just seeing that that demand is there already, and they were talking about the chants from the terraces and everything as they go forward. And just seeing this growth all over the United States is absolutely fantastic. And, seeing a club like Oklahoma City quite clearly planning for MLS, it's great when you think of how big the league can get. Yes, there's a lot of hurdles for them, of course there is, as they go forward. They've got to prove that they've got the crowd there, to fill a stadium, and then it's all about how big they can make the stadium and everything else as the protocol and all of the check boxes as you go forward. But, good luck to them. And another team who are potentially looking at MLS are FC Cincinnati, who have sold 10,000 tickets for their inaugural game on April 9th already. 10,000. So again, you're just looking around. I remember me and Ped talking about a 4th Division final game, Chattanooga, with 19,000. I've seen stuff in Detroit, with 5,000 people there. These figures, Sacramento, there's a big demand there as well. So it's popping up in these pockets all over the United States. Absolutely fantastic. And that's really, really interesting just to see how much, how the growth of soccer in the United States is doing. And it's brilliant to see. And, all of this can only make football, soccer, MLS stronger, as well as the USL. So it's really, really great that it's all progressing the way it is. Some more transfer news. DC United this week, over the last 7 days, have announced the signing of former Orlando City goalkeeper Tally Hall. They have brought him in. Tally last year, I've seen every single Orlando City game, and he was excellent in the games that he played. He picked up a knee injury, obviously, towards the end, right at the very end of the season. Missed the last couple of games, I think it was. But he was brilliant. What I saw, he was a really, really good goalkeeper. Yeah, he's getting on, but he's still a very, very good goalkeeper. Very dependable, very safe, good hands, good organiser. And I think he'll be a really good acquisition for DC United, who of course lost Bill Hammond. So it'll be good to see, an experienced pair of hands between the sticks there at DC United. And I think it can help Ben Olsen's side certainly improve their results of late. Some more transfer news, this time out of Chicago Fire, who were being quite mysterious. Their general manager has announced that they've signed a midfield player. They won't release his name for around about 7 to 10 days, they've said. He's going to join up with Chicago Fire next month, if not before. He's a midfield player. And they've also signed a striker who can play wide, and he will join inside the MLS window, but there's still been a little bit secretive of that. But people, as they do, have done a bit of digging, and two names that have been bounced around are Michael DeLu of Groningen, Dutch side Groningen, who's the midfield player, and Carly Thian, who's a striker from Senegal, who's playing in Hungary currently. They could be the two players that Chicago Fire are talking about. They're certainly the rumours doing the rounds anyway, but a little bit of mystery from Chicago Fire there. Paul Tenorio has reported that, obviously I met up with Paul actually when he was working out of Orlando. He's moved in to Chicago now, and he has reported these stories. So I'm quite sure Paul will be on the ball the minute these are confirmed. Finally, some international news. New York City midfield player Tommy McNamara has been approached by the Republic of Ireland to check whether he had an Irish passport. Quite clearly, they are looking into calling up McNamara. He has said he hasn't been contacted by the US MNT, and he does have dual nationality, so I suppose he would have a decision to make should it come down to that. He's quite open to it, I believe. Said that he's been over to Ireland as well in the past. So, very interesting call there. He's a talented footballer. He doesn't look like a footballer. at times, but he is a very, very good player, and I think he would do quite well, I think, for Ireland international football. Going in there, being in their squad, he certainly knows how to get on the end of things and score goals. So again, that's a watch this space, but quite interesting. So we'll have a look at that as we move forward. But Tommy Mac, you might have a decision to make very soon as to where your loyalty lies on the international stage. That's all for the news this week. Look out for me. I'll be doing the pre-match preview when I just go through the games and hopelessly get the scores wrong and everything else. Check that video out. Don't forget to have a look at the videos we've done this week. We've done one about referees the other day. Me and Ped and a couple of the other lads will be back on Monday, back in the studio on Monday to do the main show. I'll be back here on Sunday night to do the after-match reaction, all the reaction to the games that have been played over the weekend. Give us a subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the MLS Show. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Not enough of you giving us that little cheeky like on Facebook, which helps us grow. Tell your mates, share the videos, and generally be cool about it. And I'll catch you next time on the MLS Show. Duels, won 3 tackles, won 3 blocks, 2 interceptions. And Gus Hiddink said his performance was a great first step. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic reflection on MLS as well, on the young players coming through, just showing that, they do have ability. And if you perform well in MLS, Europe's top clubs will look as well. So a really, really good performance from Miazga. Hopefully that will continue. Hopefully he'll get more of a chance as he moves forward and progresses. He was excellent for Red Bulls last season, and he's made a great start to his Chelsea career. So fingers crossed that he gets more game time and turns in more. Welcome to the MLS Show. It is the weekly roundup with me, Baz, talking about the biggest stories over the last 7 days. Basically, since I've done my last roundup. Let's begin with last Saturday. Former New York Red Bulls centre-back Matt Miazga made his debut for Chelsea in the 4-0 victory at Aston Villa. And it was a really, really good performance for the young man. Came in to the side, Gus Hiddink put him in, and he was very, very impressive. Obviously played in the defence that kept a clean sheet, which is always a great start. Miazga had 6 clearances, 4 aerial. Moving on, Orlando City, 2 big stories coming out of it this week. Firstly, Kaka won Player of the Week. He was absolutely fantastic in Orlando City's 4-1 victory over Portland Timbers at the Citrus Bowl on Sunday. He was quite simply fantastic, back to his best. It was his first game of the season. He created the opening goal for Seb Hines, then played that lovely little 1-2 with Brek Sheas for Brek Sheas' fantastic goal to make it 2-0. And then he scored himself to make it 3-0 and was even kind enough to step aside and let Kevin Molino get his MLS goal-scoring career off to more performances like that. Other big news this week, it's 20 years since Major League Soccer began. San Jose and DC United in the very first MLS game. How much it's grown, how much it's changed. Watch the bit of the highlights of way back when and all of that. And just unbelievable, really, how much it's changed. Still got a way to go. Some things could be better than what they are, but the way it's progressing, the players it's attracting, the momentum it's picking up, certainly the appeal, I would say worldwide, it's getting bigger all the time, even if there's still a few issues that need ironing out. But it's just fantastic, and how far it's come in 20 years. It is a massive, massive leap that it's made. And I just think as it grows, more expansion teams come in and everything else, and the interest picked up around the world, and the more players that go from the 4 corners of the globe, and as it grows as a sport in the United States, I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So happy 20th birthday MLS. Let's continue to grow and make it a better league. So in 20 years time, we're looking back saying the last 20 years has been unbelievable, but look how big the league is now. So happy birthday to you, Major League Soccer.